Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm writing to Question Everything, Unlearn for True Freedom, Acharya with IIT Madras 2023. So I thought about this a little bit. I was a proponent of question everything. I still do agree to that to a certain degree. We have to understand what we know to be true, and we don't necessarily have to question that. So let me be clear. Question what you don't know. Be open to what you do know. Meaning that even if you know something to be true, still be open about it because it could still be potentially wrong. And what you don't know, obviously question it because you don't know. They could be saying that's fact, but they could be lying. And what they're saying could be true, but you don't know. So that's my statement. I actually came up with that just right before recording this video. Question what you don't know, be open to what you do know. So that you're never really stuck in anything. It's like, this is absolutely true, nothing can ever change this. And mind you, speaking in the context of Maya, um, so I haven't said this in a long while. So there's three truths in a sense. There's the absolute truth, which is I don't know a Brahman in terms of Advaita Vedanta. There is the objective truth, which is um, we can say we can clearly see this is a pen. Well, if it's not too blurry, it's clearly black. Makes a clicking noise and it writes. That's objective truth. And if we say, oh, that looks blue to me, we can get a device that can measure the color, and obviously that would be the color. It would be consistent. Obviously, our senses aren't always 100%. Some of us are a little bit colorblind, and whatever else. And then there is the subjective reality. Subjective reality is our individual perspective. Again, this is blue, clearly blue. Clearly blue. That would be my subjective reality. Now, I could be wrong, of course. Subjective reality is subjective for a reason. There's pink elephants all over the place. But that's what subjective reality is. Objective reality is what is true in terms of the Maya world. You can get again, like I said, a machine to measure color. It will tell you absolutely that's this color. And if you measure it again, it will tell you the exact same thing. It doesn't change. Whereas if I show you this, like, is this blue or gray? You're like, oh, that looks blue. And this other person says, oh, it's a bluish gray. And this other person says, well, maybe it's a bit more gray. Where our eyesight and what we're perceived colors can kind of be a little bit varied between people, but a computer will, generally speaking, will always, so long as the equipment's function normally, will be always the same. That's objective reality, the world around us. Then absolute reality is Brahman, if you follow Advaita Vedanta. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. I think I said a lot, and these are the things that I thought about whenever I read the title of this video. The three truths, in a sense, even though subjective reality is not it's your truth, not absolute truth, and not objective truth. Because the way you feel about something is true to you, but not true to the world.
Good evening, sir. So my question is, many times one's moral practices and questions of right and wrong become a major reason for his mental distress and depression. While one may be considered to be excessively concerned about moral and ethical matters, my question is it wrong to be so? And further, if one is if it is becoming a reason for his depression and other mental health problems, so where can one draw a line and deal with it in a right way?
See, morality comes from the behavior of the society you are living in. Morse relates to the masses. The way masses behave, that becomes the morality. Ethics come from the accepted ideology of the society, or you could say philosophy, the prevalent philosophy. that decides what is right, what is wrong. So, be it morality or be it ethics, they both are situated outside of you. Right? The common masses decide morality, and the leaders of the society, the thought leaders of the society, they decide the ethics. The awakened person does not live by morality or the prevalent ethical codes. He, and when I say he, I mean she as well. So take that as included. He lives by his consciousness. What does that mean? That's not some abstract thing within consciousness. That's a very solid guiding principle. What does that say? That says anything that makes you see more clearly, anything that liberates you of your inner and outer bondages is right. Put it right, good, auspicious, whatever. And anything that puts more bondages on you and puts a haze in your vision, that's not good. So ethics and morality both exist to tell apart right and wrong, acceptable and unacceptable, for those who do not have eyes of their own. And most people actually have no eyes of their own. That's why they need moral and ethical standards. And that's a bit of a necessity, because if you do not know what to do and how to live and how to decide on your own, then practically you do require someone else to tell you all those things. When someone else tells you all those things, that is practically useful, but inwardly very wasteful.
I would say, obviously, I hope he would say the next thing would be something along the lines of worrying about, because you do not know what's wrong or right, that the person that you're asking what is wrong or right is also morally right. You don't want that person to be morally wrong, and you're taught what is morally wrong to be right, and therefore you are all of a sudden you have that ingrained into you, and you're like, and that person would be like, what you're doing is wrong and what I'm doing is right, but in reality it's the reverse.
Why? Because actually you have the potential to decide on all those matters totally and purely by yourself. To accept help when help is not needed cannot be taken as something good. The very definition of help is that it enable you to proceed without help. But if is of a nature that perpetuates your need, your compulsive need to keep begging for help, then it is not help at all.
I see. So yeah, okay. So basically, the help should get you away from needing more help. Generally speaking, it doesn't mean that you can't ask for more help, but at the same time, you should not become dependent on help, where you no longer are capable of doing anything your own. You must always have help because you have become dependent on it.
That's what happens when people make decisions in their life going by the prevalent ethics or morality or such things. You ask yourself, who am I? What am I here for? And that which brings me closer to the purpose of my existence is good, right, auspicious, correct. There is no ethics in it. I know on my own, or you can simply call it inner ethics. You can simply call it higher ethics. Instead of saying there is no ethics, because if you say there is no ethics, someone will jump up and say it is unethical. No, we are not talking of unethical stuff. We are talking of higher ethics or inner ethics or deeper ethics. But for such ethics to function, obviously there has to be self-knowledge. If I do not know why I am just wandering about, I'm just, following the law of inertia and rolling from here to there in some kind of a whatever straight line or circular motion till I am hit by another object. You see why people keep hitting around? That's Newton's law. So for such people, external codes become compulsory because they have no inner guiding light of their own. If you do not give them outer codes, they'll just keep banging hither and thither all their life. So, something is handed over to them. All right, you take this and use this to somehow survive. But that's not what you as a young person should be aiming for. Obviously, there are social laws and social norms and legal provisions that you must honor as a responsible citizen. All that is okay. You cannot just jump the red light saying that, my own inner code allowed me to jump the light. So all those things, fine, they are acceptable. But when it comes to the really meaningful stuff in life, when it comes to decisions that are really intimate to you, you should totally forget what the society and the society's uncles are telling you. There has to be a clear line of discretion. In certain matters, yes, you do look at the rule book and the code of laws and you agree to abide by all that. And there are certain other things in which you refuse to listen to everybody, including God Almighty Himself. I will not listen to anybody because the nature of the matter is very inner, very intimate. So, again, I'm not sure whether I've been able to connect.
Whom should I listen exactly? So how do I know whom should I listen?
No, you don't need to listen to anybody because you have already listened to a lot of people. Why do you want to increase the number and the burden? You have to question now what you have just silently listened to. The damage has already happened. Now there has to be damage control, rather damage reversal. Have you not already listened to too many undeserving people? Please tell me. That's the story of all the kids that are unfortunately born.
Undeserving people. I'm wondering. I'm saying this because I'm saying what I'm thinking and how I think I understand him. So I was a little bit. I didn't quite understand that long stretch, but in this little segment here, essentially, obviously, throughout the entirety of our lives, we are taught what is right and wrong. But the thing is, though, what is right and wrong is not always right and wrong. So what you think is right might be wrong, and what you think is wrong might be right because you were taught wrong in the first place. Or maybe you were taught right and you didn't abide by it because you thought it was wrong. Or maybe you had it right and you're doing all right. And essentially, I believe what he's saying here is that obviously we listen to everyone, a lot of people, whether we take their information in or not. And what we have to do is damage control, meaning that the things that we were taught wrong that we thought was right, we have to do damage control on that. We need to stop and do a reversal on that. Stop doing that and do what's right. Um, and that's I said, the story of all the kids that are unfortunate. That's the story of all the kids. Essentially, all the kids listen, and it's very true. I mean, we all do that. Huh. And I'm guessing he's saying you have to think about these things. I mean, I think he's about to go over that part, but I'm kind of still with him in terms of like, okay, who do we listen to? We have to. I'm guessing he might be saying internally, you have to really think about all the things that you've been taught this your entire life, and find out and to determine what is right and what is wrong. Excuse me, sorry.
From their first day, they have to listen to very, very unworthy people. Those unworthy people come as parents, teachers. They flash on the TV screens. The kid goes out and he meets all kinds of people. And all those voices just keep penetrating the mind. And all those voices cumulatively become what is called the sense of self. Your sense of self is not yours. It is borrowed, it is reflected, it is coming from this and that, here and there. So you have already listened to a lot. Now your time is to unlisten. What does unlistening mean? It means questioning, probing, investigating, exploring. You have to ask yourself, this that I so thoroughly, deeply believe in,
Is it really what I
does it
believe
have any
in?
merit? Must I live the way my parents and grandparents did? Must I follow the way this community around me of students and others is flowing? Must I think the way my peers do? Must I go the way my physicality and my hormones dictate me? So this is the time to question everything that you know of and believe in. Unlisten. Unlearn. And in that there is freshness and newness and life. You're not coming to us as a clean slate, are you? The
No.
tabula rasa was a fiction. You are a conditioned mass already.
Yes, I think, yeah, it makes sense.
I'm glad.
Thank you, sir.
I certainly hope. I mean, it's kind of like I kind of understand Acharya, but I do hope these people do understand too. Because like I'm not saying I 100% completely understand it, but I do understand. I don't know how much of it. Could be 5%, could be 100%, could be 2%. But whenever he says unlearn, I don't believe he means to unlearn everything. I do believe he doesn't mean, again, this is how I understand it, unlearn the bad things, the things that are wrong. Because he says here, I'm trying to look at the freshness in the. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. So I live the way my parents. So it's not to say that your parents are wrong. It's not to say that your parents are right. It's to say that is this the way that I should live? Your parents will teach you kind of how they live, and generally speaking, we sometimes tend to follow in their footsteps a little bit. They want to teach you the right way, but sometimes that isn't the right way. Things change from their time and yours. So it can be right, it can be wrong. It all depends. That's the reason why must I live the way my parents, my grandparents have? Not necessarily. You don't have to. It might not even be the right way to live. It might be the right way to live. That's what you have to figure out on your own. Well, let's see. Right here, right here, right here, right here. So,
Does it have any merit?
oh,
I so thoroughly, deeply believe in.
so this is so that I so thoroughly. Let me just let him say that.
You have to ask yourself, this that I so thoroughly, deeply believe in, does it have any merit?
And if it does, then you keep it. But if it doesn't, then you have to unlearn it. Because this is all the things that we've learned throughout the entirety of our lives is not always valuable. It's not always good. So this is the things that we have to question everything that we've learned, throw away or unlearn the bad stuff and keep the good things. But you have to think about it. I believe that's what he's trying to say here. Let me know if I'm wrong. Definitely always a possibility.
Must I live the way my parents and grandparents did?
So this is the thing we have to think about. It's like, okay, what my parents taught me or what my parents showed me an example of how they live. Do I have to live that way? Or is that the best way to live? You know, or is there another way that's better or more morally correct or ethically correct? You know, so far, I believe I understand that part. What percentage? I have no idea. So that's what I think. I don't believe he necessarily means to unlearn everything, but he does certainly mean to question everything that you have learned, because what you have learned is not always right. What you have learned is not always wrong, but you have to figure that out by questioning it. But the thing is, those that what is the right answer? You know, you can question all these things, but what is the right answer? And I think what he's trying to say here, again, this is my opinion. I am trying to decipher what he's trying to say, and I'm making a lot of assumptions here. I want to reiterate that. I believe he's saying that you have to determine that. But at the same time, because of his teachings in terms of looking inwards, in terms of enlightenment, that it always must be good. So, which it doesn't say here. He says that you have. I believe again. I want to say that again. That he's saying that you must figure this out. But I think what might be missing is that his teachings are about, in a sense, doing good without attachment. Obviously, I think in Advaita Vedanta that while you are seeking detachment from the world, but the things that you do in the world that you have to do should be good, should be beneficial to humanity, should be beneficial to people, and it's not something that you have to, that's something that is selfish. So I think that part's maybe missing in this message. Again, don't know. I'm making that assumption. I do believe it to be true though, based on the things that I've heard. Again, this is purely my I keep repeating, based on my own opinion and thoughts, based on the videos that I watch and what he teaches, is that when you try to figure these things out on your own, that it must be in a way that is beneficial to the public and not something that's attachment to you, something that's not greedy, something that's not beneficial only to yourself. Because again, that's in a lot of sense greed. Something that's a lot of sense attachment because you're just like, oh man, I got a lot, I can benefit a lot from this, and that is attachment already. Anyways, let me know if I'm wrong. That's what the comments are for. So today, that's my reaction to Unlearn for True Freedom. Acharya Prashant with IIT Madras. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, the sign down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.